I would say in the Christian ethos is what we're trying to incorporate. It's like, no. What is good is good. God is good.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And what keeps evil at bay is ordinary people choosing good, whether the result happens or not, whether the ends happen or not. It's like, I am choosing good. I could die on a cross. People could kill me, but I'm still going to do good. I'm still going to show up for the people in my life. I'm still going to remain humble. I'm still going to be steward of what's been given to me. I'm still going to, treat people with a level of kindness, not just be nice, but actually kind. Hey guys, Cartwright here. Thanks for listening, watching wherever you are. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen or watch. We're so grateful. But also, we want to answer your questions, so please send in your questions. Hit that link in the bio. Send us a question. Anyway, thanks for being here.
Back in the saddle. I've got my adult jeans on.
Yeah, those are very adult. I need
Thank
some
you.
more adult jeans. My last adult jeans got holes on them.
They're a bit tight.
Oh, that sounds very British. This is a bit tight.
They're a bit tight, but it's funny. I asked Carly this morning. I was like, "Hey, are these okay?"
Yeah.
It's like
I look more stylish than creepy, right?
And dude, she goes, "You'll like this." She goes, she's like, "Yeah, they'll loosen out through the day." I was like, "Okay, they are tight, whatever." Well, hey everybody, welcome to Men Are Forged. This is our first time recording in about a few weeks, and for the main reason is because Cartwright's got a life update for us.
Yeah. My son, number 2, was born January 28th, 11:30 at night.
So it's already been 2 weeks,
Yeah, man, he's 2 weeks old yesterday.
which is wild.
That is wild, yeah. Which is actually kind of an important date. My wife was really excited. I am too. It's just, guys, we're just not as important as dates. January 28th is the day me and my wife met. And he came in right at like 28 minutes before the 29th. So we were all very excited. Yeah.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Congrats, man.
He's 20 inches. He was born 20 inches. Everybody, that's what, I want to say 7 pounds, 14 ounces.
7 ounces, 14 ounces.
Healthy boy, eating, sleeping, pooping, doing all the things,
Sleeping pretty good, apparently, right?
Gosh, yeah, Bo. I don't, sometimes I don't want to say it's, too loud or knock on wood, man, but it's been wild.
He'll make up for it.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. It all comes back around. If it's not one thing with a kid, there's another.
He'll get you in a few months.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congrats.
Mm.
And, hey, also, too, so Eli's 1 year old today.
Man.
My son.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year old today, which is, how has it been a year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It like doesn't even, I don't know, it hadn't really set in yet. But we're doing we got a birthday party this weekend.
All right. The first one's a big one.
That we're cleaning up the house for. Probably not have our plan for each night. This is what needs to be accomplished. And so we started last night. Well, I'll say that loosely. We said we were going to start last night and didn't really, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get it done. But yeah, so we got a few things going on. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is the Men Are Forged podcast. I'm Bo Morgan. This is Cartwright Morris. And, man, we love talking about things that Christian men in their 20s and 30s struggle with daily.
Yes.
And, we love talking about the tension and different truths that are in the Bible and things that we wrestle with on a daily basis. And so really today, I'm excited about this one because Cartwright, so we talked on the phone yesterday and Cartwright really, he teed up a little bit about what we were going to talk about. And then I went and looked at it some more. And I think it's just super important for guys, especially our age, to kind of understand and get a perspective. But really it's topic around social media and politics and how they don't work.
Mm-mm.
And then also kind of in cahoots with that, good men versus great men. And, how kind of that all wraps together. So yeah, anyway, you can get us started on that.
Yeah. I think, I don't want this show to be political, but political there is so much, because political has become so moved into such the realm of theology and philosophy and tried to impact those worlds in recent history that, I feel like, we kind of have to if we're really talking to, um, really wanting to help people today, because it does shape so much of our thoughts and minds
Well,
and
it's
emotions.
everywhere.
It's everywhere, man.
It's
Yeah.
on our phones. It's on the TV. It's
Uh,
everywhere you look. So
um,
how can you not talk about it? You know,
yeah.
I mean,
And so I did want to read this verse because I think at best, I feel like this is what we want to be for you, whoever's out there listening, of like, so Proverbs 12:25, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. I think that sums up a lot of my ministry. Feels like a lot of what I do. Is there's this anxiety brought to the table, and but what you get in return is that word that makes your heart go, oh yeah, somebody sees me, knows me. And so I hope out there as we have some of these discussions, I did want to just kind of promote that and think that Proverbs 12:25. So, and I hope that I feel like this connects within, because politics does create some anxiety. I know some of us scrolling on social media or, even X, that you just kind of go, golly, is there any solution to these problems? You know, and people just going back and forth and yelling, and it's not solving anything. It's just making people more entrenched. And, you realize that you feel like there's this few powers out there that are really instigating this to keep us at odds, keep us divided, keep us thinking binary thought, that we're not living in the nuance of life, because it is so nuanced. It's not one thing or the other. People that are unwilling to embrace the tension of this are the ones who are who are not living a fruitful life, that are probably the most angry and frustrated. You really have to embrace some tension in especially the political realm, but most people aren't willing, because that's not what gets votes or gains power. Anyway, after that rant.
yeah.
But I'll say, so I was on X, speaking of that, recently. Had some times in some midst of feedings or late nights. It was about the Minnesota stuff and ICE and all that. And this take is, I think, not right or left here, because what I was really was frustrated by was two conservative commentators who both went up there and saw all the horrific stuff, but they said, man, I wish Christians had as much passion and conviction as some of these protesters here up in Minnesota protesting ICE. And in my mind, I'm like, what? Let's maybe be critical of how Christians need to be more willing to step out in ways, but like, that's not how God designed our brains. If we're getting into the whole context of, like, I think a lot of what I do with help men is integrating their faith at their work, that there was this separation of church and state of, oh, the really passionate people are the ones willing to go to China and Africa to be missionaries. It's like, what? That's nonsense. There's orphans, there's people who need Jesus, who even claim to know Jesus, like, what does that look like? And I think that really got me in the thought process of, like, and I've even had the tagline with the show of helping young men become great men. It's like, I want all men, I think, should become great leaders, because we all have some level of leadership and responsibility with those in our care, whether it's family, in an organization, or in a community, right? But I don't know if really this show is going to be about, and this could be a controversial take, is really about helping you men out there become great men. I want you to be good men. What is, and that's where I've really been kind of processing, thinking through. It's like, and I had this thought where great men maybe inspire us to be better, to grow, to pursue, and to challenge us. But then I feel like good men hold up a mirror for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that contrast of, like, they hold up the mirror of, like, man, am I showing up for the people in my life? Am I putting up boundaries that communicate a higher yes to my people and my values? Like, Am I willing to really, yeah, I don't know, just there's things, I wrote some stuff down about it because I was like, I really want to identify what is the difference between a good man and a great man. Because I would say most great leaders that we have throughout history to aspire to are the reluctant ones, meaning they're good men that were pulled into,
Yeah, that's a good point.
because I think what we've seen, especially in recent history, is probably a lot of great men who really we aspire to be and we get excited about, whether it's the conference speakers or the mega church pastors or the CEO types. All those people, like, they've had some level of moral failings that we've seen, or some level of, like, they've missed the part of the greatness of being a good man.
Yeah, well, I think that part of that, I agree, because hearing you explain it, my mind immediately goes to so if I want to be a great man, then that really I associate that with all those people you're talking about, the people that have that public visibility, and it's like, so now it doesn't become so much about the attributes of being a great man. It becomes, how do I get a platform
Yeah.
to show that I'm a great man, which is
Yeah.
just in its nature
Yeah.
ego. And so it's almost like, if you try to do that, you end up opening the door to
Yeah.
so many. So it's kind of like the enemy's being like, yeah, try to do that, and I'm
Right.
going to veer you off course.
Because it takes you away from what you're really responsible for.
Yeah.
And I think that's, maybe some of y'all have heard me read Tolkien. I mean, this is a great line from Tolkien that I think really hits his philosophy and theology. This is Gandalf talking. Is some believe it is only great power that can hold evil in check. That is not what I have found. It is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay, small acts of kindness and love.
Yeah.
Like that belief, if more men had that belief of, man, if I am, constantly choosing those closest to me over some level of greatness.
Yeah.
If I am desire to be humble yet confident, humble in that I know who I am not and I'm comfortable with that, but yet I'm confident in who God made me to be, and those who are very hopeful for a better future, but more than that, they're faithful what God has already given. They want to steward that well. Like that, those mindsets in my mind is what makes a good man, which makes it, we need more of those than we need the great, awe-inspiring audiences, right? I think even Jesus understood that concept. He was beyond a great man. He was Jesus, right? But for 30 years, he lived as a carpenter's son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he understood that part of developing character, understanding, being a trustworthy person in people's hearts and minds, that developing those relationships, find where, I love Luke 2:52, like, he grew in favor with God and man, right? But then there's a part that says, and his mother treasured those times in her heart. It's like, oh, before he even became the guy, became the Jesus, right? The way he had 3 years of his ministry where he was doing all these works, where his mother, those first 30 years, she treasured those moments. Like, are we dismissing those times where we're like having that hidden season because we think it's all about the recognition. We think it's all about the influence
Mm-hmm.
and growth and all that we, because and it's just an interesting concept that, like, oh, what looks like to be a great Christian man that these guys are talking about on social is laying in front of traffic and
Yeah.
yelling at people and, and like trying to beat up, federal officers. And you're like, that's not what that's not what defines me as a follower of Jesus. But, you've heard this a bunch. The word Christian is used 3 times in the New Testament. And I think, like, only like once or twice it's actually used in a good connotation.
Mm.
but the follower of Jesus or a disciple of Jesus is used, I want to say like 150.
Yeah.
Like, so like this concept of like, we got to be good Christians and we got to be willing to, you know, lay down in front of traffic and go in the cold and scream at people. And you're like, huh?
Yeah.
It's like, no, what it really means, I think going back to that Gandalf, it's like, it's the ordinary acts. It's the everyday choosing. Okay, this is hard. Like, you have a 1-year-old. I got a 2-week-old and a 2-year-old. Like, every day choosing them, choosing to love them, even though they tick me off or I have lack of sleep. Those ordinary acts where I'm building these young boys into men, where I'm choosing them, I'm choosing to love my wife, see her in the midst of even her struggle. Like, that's a good, those, when we have more of those guys, like there's no, what can evil do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Being true to ourselves, being true to our values and the people in our life. It just, anyway, I maybe rant over for now.
No, keep going. I love it.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it's true. Yeah, it's kind of in order to, at least the line in my mind is, and we're unpacking it is, so maybe like a coaching moment that we can have together is like, well, in order to be a great man, where is this great influence that I have?
yeah.
Who are the people listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
This wonderful person that has all this insight. And I think that's where guys our age in their 20s and 30s, I mean, how could we not think that that's what we mean by that? Because it's what's portrayed on every social media post and every podcast that you listen to. It's like, how can I get, like, in order for me to be great, I gotta have a really big audience and I gotta have all of this influence, when really it's, well, no, what influence do you have today?
Right.
Like, where's my leverage today?
Yeah.
My leverage today is with my wife
Mm-hmm.
and my 1-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
my immediate family or whatever. Like, am I
Or even people you
serving
work
them?
with on a day with.
Yeah, or people I work with. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, what am I doing with that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what you mean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to have a title in a sense. I mean, we have a title as a father and a husband, right? There's those titles, but I mean, even a title in the sense of like, there's people you're impacting every day. Are you choosing to embrace that, or they're not good enough because they can't get me where I really want? And to go back, and I guess the point of like politics or even influence with social media. I mean, I feel that tension, because it's like, yeah, I want to grow what I do. I want to do more. I want to be able to, and then the more I grow, the more, income comes from that. And therefore I can provide for my family, right? You're trying to do the math in your head, but at the end of the day, like 100 years ago, this was not a thing. Us knowing what's going on up in Minnesota in the middle of the cold, or, like that didn't happen. Until the radio came and then television and then all of a sudden like that got 10x'd with social media now that we've seen all these posts and stuff. And it's like, I need to care about that. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
like I mean, this is where science comes in, where God made, this is what I think I mentioned, it's like, this is where God made our brains of like, we don't have the capacity to care about something 100 miles away, let alone, 1,000.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have, without creating anxiety, anger, frustration. And then, well, the only thing we have control, let me comment, let me repost, that's the way we're going to get. It's like, because what? We have jobs. We got people we got to take care of. We got family. I was like, how do I get food on the table? Like, I mean, my wife, she's breastfeeding. So like, they are burning calories like crazy.
Yeah.
So I gotta keep food coming.
Oh, yeah.
I'm being funny, but it's like, it's true. Like, I got to think about that. I got to think about people are coming over to see the babies, or I keep the house clean. But there's so many things that we're thinking about. And then you add on top, like, let's dump, 50,000 posts on something that people are pointing their finger and saying, you should be caring about this. It's
Right.
like, no, I got a church, I want to be able to give the church. And then also I got to take care of myself. I got to take care of, it's like, stop. Like, this is what's so, the tension of that, this thing, while people are saying this is not good for us, I think it started out with, hey, suicide rates in girls just skyrocketed in 2013 because of social media. And it's not good for our kids to have smart devices. It's like now they're saying, oh, it's probably not good for adults either. It's changing the chemistry in our brain. And it's like, I like it. And I, as someone who uses it, and I post regularly on it, right? But y'all see this podcast because I want to be a break in the noise. But at the same time, it's just like there is this constant. Actually, I heard this morning, Bo, this is great. Women live in a constant state of guilt, and men live in a constant state of failure. Guilt of women, I'm not doing enough. I'm not, I'm
that's
not
true. Yeah.
taking care of people enough. I'm not doing this, doing that. Like,
I'm not home enough.
I'm not,
Yeah.
And then men, it's like, I'm never doing it right. I'm never doing it well. I'm not doing it, to what people need. It's like, and so therefore we already feel that message internally, which is not of God. We already feel like it's in our community, right? And now all of a sudden, like, we get this dump of social media saying, you're also not doing it enough. You should be posting more. You should be driving to Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, so kind of veering it back to the politics things, I think that's where we're going. Like, I can speak from experience. Like, I've never, and there's probably a good way to, because politics is something that shapes our government and does all this. So yes, like, know what's going on and have our Christian values, and participate that in whatever you feel like that should be, whether that's you get more involved in the normal person or somebody that just votes every 4 years or every 2 years, whatever. But I would just be like, so just talk about myself for a second.
Yeah.
I've never participated.
You can disagree with me if you want to.
No, yeah, I disagree with everything you said. No. Yeah, this is the hot debate episode. We're ready to go at it. No, not at all. I've never had a time in my life, and I've had different seasons of my life where, like, I will not get involved in politics, but just like really know what's going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had seasons like that where I'm super involved and knowing what's going on, where it doesn't produce bad fruit in my life.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do both. And I think maybe some people can. And I hope they do, because we need godly politicians.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't just just completely surrender politics to, there's always, there's going to be some, but like, as far as I'm concerned, like being 33, 34 coming up, like I've never been able to like really participate in it or talk about it or like get emotionally involved in it and it not produce what you just said, anxiety. Like, I've had periods of my life where I've been anxious about things because of things I see on the news. Like, what a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, like I let that thing control my thoughts and how I interacted with just myself, like my emotional and spiritual self, but then also like with my wife. Like, of course it's going to come out in like anger, and it's going to come out in impatience and anyway, so like I think there's probably somewhat of a balance here, because we need to have somewhat of a balance here. And I'm not saying go protest or I'm not saying any of that stuff. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I've never been able to do it. I've never been able to like know or watch a presidential debate and not be like, what the? Yeah. Like, it just, I've never been able to do those things and then be able to do them well. Mm-hmm. I've never been able to do it. Well, but so if you can, that's great.
Right.
But I can't do it.
And I think that's a little bit my point is, I don't think in the long run any of us really can.
Yeah.
For thousands of years, what did everyone have to worry about was like just kind of protecting this.
Yeah.
Like, like my circle of influence. Like, that was, civilization was created, thankfully, right? That, yeah, I don't want to give a political thought on that, but anyway, yeah, it's just, they're just like, we have created civilizations from the context of women having children and families created to design to protect that, because we believe there is from the beginning, it's like we need more humans, right? That was the original mandate. I don't think is it the first command in the Bible? Go be fruitful and multiply. Like that is such a beautiful thing. And then there's even, if we want to get into politics, there's influencing of that. So, but I think, so that's where so like you said, so I just went on a little rabbit trail because
Yeah.
it really hit me just now. But anyway, to your point, I don't think we have God designed our brains to necessarily think that way. And you have taken it as a personal thing. And I think it's really good that you've done that, in that, hey, I can't go there without getting it affecting me in a negative way. So I'm not. Where I would say 99.9% of people, I think it's just a way. I think God designed our brains. I think He designed us to be this relational.
Yeah.
But too many people online have these digital relationships where they're just ripping, and and let's be honest, there is a feeling of positive movement that we feel when we follow a commentator that's on our side. Like I get there, like I get excited.
Yeah.
When
It's just like positive reinforcement. Like,
yeah,
what I thought is right.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, like there's
and then the opposite's true.
Right,
When
yeah.
somebody says something you may disagree with,
Yeah.
you have to actively wrestle with, okay, hold on, this has got nothing to do with him. I still love him.
Right.
We could disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take that step of like, okay, hold on, let me work on that for a sec.
Right.
And that right there tells you, like, it certainly has a bend to where it's almost destructive in a way. And look, I mean, politics, like in its core, whether it's politicians, the ones we think about every day that are running our government, or it's politics at work, it's manipulation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
At its core.
Right.
I mean, it's how can I position myself to be in a better position than the person that I'm up against or the people that I'm around. Like, politics is not just isolated to these massive federal things or state things that we have going on. Politics is like, you could be politically trying to position yourself at work.
Yeah.
And the only way to really do that, if you're thinking that way, is manipulation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at its core, it's just kind of dishonest.
Uh-huh.
To me, at least. I mean, that's what I've kind of discovered from it. I don't know if there's more to that, but like, as a 33-year-old guy who's like, doesn't have hardly any experience in it at all, it just feels that way. It feels like it's just at its core dishonest, no matter what level you're viewing it. Right? I mean, it just.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a fun time of year. I mean, that's where I think, that's where I'm getting to more and more. And like I think you're to your point, this is when we think about it on an online standpoint, or we're thinking about it in our own, our own gain. How do we actually take time out of adding to the world around us, to the people around us, to then, all right, how do I play this game to where I get more?
Yeah.
I win.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of, is that manipulation?
Yeah.
Or is that different? I mean, it feels like
well,
it's kind of the same
I mean,
thing, right?
that's the issue you're talking about. What's the fruit of that? Is if it's only about me winning, then I think to be in any successful relationship, whether it's in an organization or with your wife, right? It's got to be about win-win. It's got to be about how do we both win in this, right? But too many people live in the world and they take language from politics, they take language from religion, they take the self-help book, and they're like, ooh, how can I use this for my own benefit? How can I get what I want out of it? And that's the spirit of which I think a lot of our politics have run. I think a lot of organizations, a lot of people that, I think has been infiltrated from a large scale down to us. And it's
so there's got to be a different way to do it. So like when, to bring it back to the beginning, what you were talking about is these commentators saying, hey, Christians need to be, maybe, here's the way I'm interpreting it. You tell me what you think. But like Christians need to be almost acting in the same way and participating in the same way this political thing that's going on. And to me, I don't see how they can work together.
No.
Because what you said is true, to me at least. It's in politics, you are strategically looking at ways to increase the way you're seen by people around you, whether true or not true. And even if it is true, you're boosting yourself up. So there's no humility there. So like if I did this great thing at work, we've talked about this in a recent episode. If I do this great thing at work, well, the political thing for me to do would be to make sure everybody knows about it.
Yes.
You
Be a
know?
great promoter.
You know, and
Control the narrative, which is a very political thing.
So like, I mean, we look at our model and and we're constantly looking at how Jesus lived his life and what he didn't do that. You know, I mean, I'm trying to find, I mean, when did he ever participate in anything seemingly kind of along
and he was
those
good
lines?
with people slandering him. Like he had, think about the Pharisees. Like he called them out when they did it to his face, but he knew exactly what was happening. And he would say, "It's not my time to go to Jerusalem yet." Meaning, because he knew what was ahead in Jerusalem. There was going to people try to kill him because there's people who don't like him, and he's okay with it.
Well, he would heal people and tell them, "Don't tell anybody yet."
Yeah.
That's
like that's not someone who's trying to control the narrative.
Find me a politician that would do something positive and then tell a constituent, "Hey, don't tell anybody about this yet."
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You go, "Hey, make sure you post that." Actually, if you have friends, tell them.
Yeah.
Oh, this person who has, X followers, tell them as well.
Opposite of how he lived his life. You know what I mean? Yeah. To me, the whole thing, and I think so, and also to kind of bring it back to guys in their 20s and 30s, I'll kind of phrase this as a question to you. How about that? Do you think that men are confusing having these strong opinions about politics or policy or whatever it may be with real influence?
Yeah. I think that's well said, just even in the question. I think
I feel so strongly about this politician that I'm going to be super invested in this, which, by the way, like, again, so we always wrestle with things on this podcast.
Yeah.
There's probably a good part in there. Like, you know what I mean?
There's probably a follow-up question from that. It's like, do I feel this strong conviction, this strong feeling? Is that because it's coming against my core value, or I just don't like them, or I don't agree with them?
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's what, when I say a good man is a mirror, he should hold up a mirror. It's like, what is it how am I responding in a way that someone who I see as a good man would respond the same way? Like, I think that's what you got to like tension up, like, don't like that. And, I think as we're trying to like develop you men as not just, as good men, but also great leaders is the context of like decision making in those moments when you see a post or watch something on the news, right? Is like, okay, this doesn't feel good. All right. So you're taking in your gut, your intuition, which is a positive thing. Learning to trust that as a young man is good. And then you're going your rational side of like, all right, is it good? Is what they're saying a good or bad thing? And you're like rational. And then maybe the third thing is like, all right, now let's apply some wisdom. What is good? What is truly like, all right. And I think that's what's going to is like, is this inconsistent to I think God has made us to be, in my core value? I feel tension and struggle when I feel there's government overreach, because I think it is a core value of mine, a level of, I think even the core value of our country is the level of freedom to make mistakes, freedom to fail. Like, there's a low safety net. I don't think government is meant to be our mom and dad. I don't think they're meant to take the place of God, to be our caretaker, right? Some people would disagree with that.
Yeah.
And they think they have some biblical background, where I think that's on the opposite. Is for freedom, Christ has set us free. It's like, that doesn't mean it's always going to work out to the result that we want. And learning how to discern, we need failure to discern what is it that really are our wants that align with God's and what He wants for our life. That is the tension that when I hear about government inputting themselves. Anyway, that's just an example.
And get involved in that stuff. I mean, and if it's still like, so if it's a core value of yours and you're, like have a good intention for this core value, whatever it may be, like, and you're able to get involved in this and still produce like good fruit in your life, like it's given you, there may be some people that like really like have a calling and a like almost like a purpose of like, hey, I want to influence some of the systems that shape our government and stuff like that. That's great. I would just say like, I wouldn't be able to do it.
No. And I would say there is 100% like almost like a calling, like a missionary. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, maybe there is.
There is like God's giving you a grace to go into that realm.
Yeah.
It's just, how do I not be corrupted by? Because there is a spirit. I mean, Jesus talked about it, the spirit of Herod. There was the religious spirit, the spirit of the Pharisees, the leaven of Herod, the leaven of the Pharisees, right? The political spirit and the religious, right? This is what He knew. These things are acting against our well-being. He is acting against even the biology of our body that He designed it to be. And it's pulling us down. It's making us less of a version of who He designed us to be. And it's taking away from us from the people that He's called us to. But I do think, so that doesn't mean withdraw from that stuff. I think some Christians have put that is a false narrative. That is another spirit of just isolate yourself, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
I think God has called us to go in those places, but I think we got to know who we are. We got to know if He actually has called us into that space, because there's no doubt about it. There's a spirit to it that's trying to, and I think both me and you, Bo, would probably agree. Oh, that's probably not us.
No.
And hopefully we're in this place where we're encouraging those to go in there.
Hey, listen, I will be behind whoever that is. And I mean that. I mean, kind of funny, but I'm serious. Like, I think we do need that. I think not at all like the commentators you were referencing in the beginning of the episode, where it's like, hey, man, we got to act exactly how these people are acting.
Yeah.
Certainly no.
Yeah, well, I think they didn't say act, but they said we need to be as passionate as them. And they're like, it's like, come on, flesh out what you're really trying to say.
Flesh out what you're trying to say. That's the key part. Like, there's definitely probably some kernels of truth in there, like to where as Christians, we're certainly not, like you said, we're not called to be isolated, but then, I mean,
in the world, not of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so like how to do both. And I don't have the answer to that, because I think when you get in the middle of it, man, it's, you feel it. You feel that spirit of just like, kind of nastiness.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll kind of bring it back a little bit. I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So what would separate like a good man who, who seemingly trying to care about everything and trying to take all this on, versus a good man who is, more so focused on what do I have influence on today? You know what I mean? Like there's seemingly to me is like, there's two different routes I can go. Like Bo could go today.
Yeah.
I could care about all this stuff and like really get into it and like really be passionate about it and then completely sacrifice my family.
Yeah.
And time with my family and like being at peace when I'm at home and being a great friend and coworker and things like that. So, I forgot my question, but really that's, that's kind of my thought. Like, how do you, are you able to do both?
Well,
I guess is my question.
Well, I think it goes back to, was it our last episode or maybe one? It's like, you eventually have to be in a place where you learn to put stuff down. You have to learn to be present. I mean, I think that is like we've said, is one of the more successful people that we admire the most is just people willing to be present, the person in front of them. We know the people who've been around who are constantly looking past us and looking to the next person.
Yeah.
And that is, and I would say politics, that is rampant.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But I would say, if that's the world you feel like you're called to, and or that even interests you, there's an affinity to it, as well as opportunity. Like, I think that's something we got, like, hey, God's given me not only this ability, affinity, and opportunity. That's a Tim Keller thing, where it's like, hey, affinity, I love I really enjoy this. I'm good at it. And there's an opportunity. Okay, there's an alignment there that God has for us right there. Woo. Okay, as much as God's called me to that, how do I put it down and still do a calling that I think is greater than that, which is, I think God's given us. How many times did Jesus talk the least of these, man? And I would say most people put that in the context of the poor, which is true. But at the same time, the least of these is like, hey, my little 2-year-old son, the least, he's a little young man who needs his dad. How many people do we know who, the statistics are out there of like who didn't have fathers, and how they are the ones that are really not doing well. So that responsibility is key. And number one, right? How do I keep that? As well as like, I need other things in my life that that fill my tank. I think doing a lot of what we're called to fills our tank, but there's still other ways to fill it. It's like, I need friends. I need fun. I need laughter. I need adventure. I need to be fit, take care of myself physically. So I'm not coughing all the time.
Yeah.
But no, like, I think that's where, I think, going back to some of our other episodes, but I would like, some of y'all may know some themes here, but it's like, hey, how am I willing to put that down and say, all right, God, you can bring the growth. You're the one who brings the fruit to this, not me. I put my hand in the plow. I prepare the horses for battle, with the victory is yours. Have that mindset with that stuff. I can engage with it. You've called me. You've given me a skill set, a desire for it, and an opportunity at the same time. Like, you've given this in front of me, and I got to take care of that first.
Yeah,
Learn to do that.
And so, yeah, I mean, to your point about the least of these, that struck me because, so then I'm asking myself the question, and again, this is just me. There may be people that can participate this and like still do great. In fact, I probably know a few. Some people I know that I love are involved in politics and are great men and great fathers. Anyway, I can't speak to like all the fruit in their lives, but like, cause I just don't know, but like,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get back to my question. So asking myself the least of these. So then, like you said, like you talked about Hayes, who's 2 years old, and you got Reese, that's 2 weeks old. I've got Eli, that's 1 year old today.
Whoa.
So crazy, crazy. So how can I bring it back a little bit even more? How can I be the best father and husband to Eli and husband to Carly? Is it after an hour and a half of watching Fox News?
Yeah. Right.
Or CNN?
All right. Yeah.
The answer is no.
No.
And maybe there's people that can do that, but like, because I'll get sucked into something that I feel strongly about, and I'll get sucked into the politician type side of it to where it's just, you're being manipulated. Right. And all these things, and it just creates this anger inside of me, which is really bad fruit.
Yeah.
Well, then what do I expect
Yeah.
how do I expect to act around the house? I know me, like, I'm not going to be like, okay, cool, got that out of the way. Now let me be a great husband and father. It'll affect everything. And so, like, if we're talking about where we have real leverage in our life, real tangible leverage, yes, vote and do the things, do all that stuff. I think that's a great thing. But like, my leverage today is going home and listening to my wife and interacting with her and making her feel seen and heard. And it's like you've taught me, we've talked on other episodes, it's laying down on the floor with my son while he plays with his Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
And I just don't say anything, and I'm just at peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my leverage today. The way, you know what I mean? And so I don't see how getting involved, super involved in the politics and in the stuff that's going on in the world right now really meshes well with that.
No.
And maybe someone could do it. And if you know how to do it, that's great. Teach me how. I just don't. I don't see how, you know what I mean? I don't see how both worlds coexist
No.
or exist together.
Yeah, because it's just, I mean, example, what you're talking about, like watching an hour CNN or Fox News before you go engage with your family, which, some people do. Maybe they figured out they can compartmentalize.
Yeah, maybe they can.
But, it's almost like
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I can't do it.
Yeah, right. And it being self-aware enough, like maybe encourage our audience out there is like, can you, and we're like, be really honest with yourself. Some of us are like, oh, I could do it. It's like,
I bet you
can. Man, that's where we've talked about somebody like Dak Shepard. It's like, it's kind of like the escape from that a little bit. That's been good.
Yeah.
Listen to somebody that, or I get, sports talk radio helps, because it is like, so this is what I think is really interesting. And this may be a whole rabbit trail. It's maybe not helpful for our audience, but I really think sports, commentary and opinions is what the political realm went, ooh, we can do that. We can be more entertaining than actual news, and people will watch more. I think a lot, like probably 15, 20 years ago, especially like ESPN really started headlining this, and now all the other networks is like, hey, because we've been there. We've had buddies that we've, had these sports arguments with, and,
Yeah.
It's like, and it's fun, it's light, and when we're done, we're done.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways that was, in the sports context, it was great. The talking heads, and they argue over these points, and who's the greatest of all time, all that nonsense, right? Where I think the political realm went, ooh, let's take that. But the stakes just feel so much higher, especially now that the politics has gotten more into our society, where there's a moral connotation to it. And that's what's so hard about it. That's really infiltrated our society. It's gotten into schools, and it's gotten into churches, and it's just this like, it's a way to co-opt some morality. You're just like, oh, don't love that.
It's hard to conversation and not have it bleed over into how you view that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, well, why do we go there? Like, why is this like, I think less of you now because you vote this certain way. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, not where I go to church.
Yeah.
Not how I treat my kids, not what I do for a living.
Right.
Like it's.
Yeah, you skip past all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I've known you for 20 years, and now all of a sudden, like, you're this evil, like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's
it does feel like there's some incentive for someone, whoever that is, to have us view each other in that way.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, it feels like it's very intentional.
The enemy loves us living in binary thought. It's this or this. If you're either here or here, there's no nuance.
Yeah.
There's no discussion. There's no engaging on a relational level and actually trying to understand your perspective. It is. And the older I've gotten, and it's a very immature thought. That's where it's like, if you live in binary thought, that's a very immature thing. The older I've gotten, like when I was 25, I had probably, hundreds of convictions where I knew, and it's like, that's nonsense. The older I've gotten, those have shrunk. I was probably, those convictions were probably an inch deep, and a mile wide, where now it's the opposite, where I feel like the older I get, the smaller they get, but the ones that I have, I hold tightly, and they're deeper, and they're more meaningful.
Yeah.
And like, they're immovable, right? But they're smaller. It's like, Jesus is king. Like, hey, you ain't moving away from that one, pal. No, sorry. Like, like, he is who he says he is. Like, okay, like, just, there's just the whole, those things, but everything else is like, okay, I can see from your perspective. Help me understand. Help me, like, that's a mark of maturity, is you're not willing to live in binary thought. But that don't get votes. That doesn't make headlines. It's easier to be an internet troll than it is to actually
It doesn't grab people's attention.
No.
And that's really what politics is. It's trying to grab your attention
Yeah. And what I hate
and
is,
isolate the other side.
and not to,
And
yeah.
I just hate that so much.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean,
And that, not to, not to put a political part to it and put cards, but I hate our president engages in it.
oh,
I
yeah.
hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's like, why are
Man,
you
wouldn't it be
gonna,
great if we had a leader that saw a ton of value in, like, trying to bring us together and
Mhm.
not, like you said, view the other side as the absolute enemy, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
We're not trying to just win the game, like win the game of politics and social media. Like,
yeah, or win the game of getting a headline,
yeah.
even if it's like, and that to me is like,
Like
it's
winning,
very
having,
frustrating.
like, I'm sure they have these, they're in their rooms talking, having conversations. But then you go on social media and you make a comment about them, make a post about at this person. And you're just like, why?
Why?
Why do that?
Why?
What is that? Does
I
that,
know exactly what you mean. Carly and I she'll show me something like on her phone about something that he said or somebody on either side said. And it's just like,
yeah.
what did that do
Yeah. Yeah.
besides just divide us even more? And it feels intentional. And
Yeah. To me, I'm like, the intentional part is, are you trying to distract from something?
yeah,
And is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to bring something over here so you go here? I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it, man. I don't like any of it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't like to.
Can I give my opinion on something specific? I don't, like I said, I don't want to talk
Please.
about
You
politics. I
think
don't
people are
like
still
talking about,
listening at
but
this point? They probably turned us off.
but, my opinion, like the whole thing with what he did with the Obamas recently, a lot of people claim racism, and there's definitely some of that to it, but I think he did it out of jealousy. Whether we like it or not, justifiably or not, the Obamas have some level of royalty feel to them in the U.S.
Yeah.
People look up to them, even after all what's even come out after his presidency and stuff that, it's hit or miss, right? But not to go too much, but I think he did it. I think there's a shine to them that he is, I think, a little bit jealous of, and he wanted to take some of that away.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that really the way to do it? Or maybe he's found out information about them and he thinks he now can do that, throw them under the bus, and he's got some wiggle room because there's stuff that's come out. And you're just like, but just why? I mean, whether it justify or not, there's people that look up to them and think there's a level of royalty to them that they can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've just isolated and you've lost he already lost a voice for a lot of those people, but like you've lost a level of credibility because you did that. And granted, in the video, there's other politicians that he portrayed as animals, but you're just a little bit like, I just don't understand. And
I don't get it either. I have no idea what that does. I mean, like, what are you trying to do here? I just don't get it. Like,
yeah,
we like to believe that, like, there's got to be some, like, purpose behind everything they do, which there probably is. Now, he may be the exception. Like, it may not be as, he can get behind his keyboard and go, seemingly. But that to me was just like, dude, why, man?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? It makes no sense.
Because this is I want to say brilliance, but there is the attraction. The attraction of him is he's almost 80. He's made his money. He's like done everything pretty much already in his life. Been married 3 times, has kids, grandkids, built golf course, right? Where he's at this place now where he's like, I don't give a blank about what and so I think there's a level of, that's all. So this has been that was the attraction, and he's this disruption to this corrupt system. He was but now it feels like he's like in the midst of rolling back some of that. He's now trying to distract. I don't know. And it's just been like, you were the guy, you had already made your millions, your billions. Right? You've already done all this, and now you don't have to worry about re-election. So just like, boom, punch this system in the face and just that's what people brought you on. And now all of a sudden, like, we're all talking about you posting some like AI video, and you're just like, what? Like, is that what we voted you for? Or attacking, Republicans who are trying to actually hold the line on him and say, hey, let's bring back Doge cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, that's what's so gross about it, man, where you feel like, oh, man, a little grumble. Hopefully I can get picked up. Bo's stomach just grumbled, and I just brought him Chick-fil-A, so I don't know what it's complaining about.
It's never enough.
Yeah. But going back to Tolkien, I mean, I think that's what's so brilliant about his book about Lord of the Rings is like we every person, whether that's in local, big, whatever, and it's like we are the person, if we're given power, we will do good with it.
Oh, right.
That's the arrogance. And that's what I mean. Going back, I guess maybe closes out is like a good man is like never lives in that arrogance. There's a humility in who he's not. There's comfortability in who he's not.
You're exactly right. And there's this like, like a lot of people we know and like we're really happy when Trump got elected, you know what I mean, this time around. Because, at least some of the political policies and things like that reflect, I don't know. I mean, listen, we're not here. If you want to have a political debate with somebody, don't do it with me. I just don't know enough.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can be talked into anything, when it comes to that stuff, because I'm just not that well versed in it. But seemingly, some of the issues that he ran on were aligned with a lot of the issues that I feel like a lot of Christian guys can relate to. And but anyway, so the lesson that we learn in this is that even when you get your guy in there, it's still like they get in there and it's just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is not, and there's a lot of great stuff he probably did. I don't know enough. Like I really, but like, I'm sure
and
he did a lot of great
there's
stuff.
definitely are like murder rates down.
Yeah, of course.
So
it's probably true for anybody that gets elected, but like, so again, the whole point is you fight so hard and you get, like you said at the beginning, you show the same passion that the other side is showing, and to get your person in there, whether you're on the left or on the right. And then when they get in there, you're just like, what was the purpose of that? Like it feels like,
oh, you're just part of the system now.
You're part of the system. Like it feels so empty. And I think the more and more, at least the more and more I'm mature and the more we see this happen, becomes like, okay, look, I'm going to have my things that I certainly feel passionate about, some of the issues like as Christians that we feel passionate about, right? And you can name a list of 30 things probably right now. But what is it requiring so much of my energy to where I'm neglecting other things? I think that's what we're getting to here, right? Like, what is the purpose of it? Are you really using that leverage for the good and getting those issues across the table? Or do you think you are, and you're really just neglecting the more important things like your home life, your people at work, your friends, your family, whatever. And I have not been able to do both. And so I'm learning to pay attention, stay informed, but just hold it with a really, really loose grip.
Okay, I'm going to end with this because this is a thought that this is a good thing that I found on social media, but Tolkien had an issue with, because this is prominent movies that have come out that I've actually liked, but it was originally a book, is Dune. Have you seen Dune?
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Dune,
Timothy Chalamet.
It's something like that. It's French. I don't know.
He's the guy that's like 30 but looks like he's 10.
Yeah, exactly. But women thinks he's
Willy Wonka.
Yeah. He's about 100 pounds soaking wet.
Great guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Come on the podcast. Next week we're having Timothy Chalamet. I'm sorry.
Make sure you pronounce it like that in front of him. Yeah, so Tolkien had opinions on it because Dune came out in the 60s, and then there was another fictional book that he come out, and it's like he has issues with it because going back to the quote that I had from the beginning was that like the context of morality that in Dune in these books is the moral hero, the ends justify the means, right? That like the intention is what matters in morality. And I think that's what happens in politics. The ends justify the means. It's like, my intention is to bring good, so therefore it's good. Or that's not morality at all. That's not good. That's not I would say in the Christian ethos is what we're trying to incorporate. It's like, no. What is good is good. God is good.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And what keeps evil at bay is ordinary people choosing good, whether the result happens or not, whether the ends happen or not. It's like, I am choosing good. I could die on a cross. People could kill me, but I'm still going to do good. I'm still going to show up for the people in my life. I'm still going to remain humble. I'm still going to be steward of what's been given to me. I'm still going to, treat people with a level of kindness, not just be nice, but actually kind. Right. Anyway, so I thought that was really interesting. Tolkien's,
yeah, that wraps it up good.
Like it's not about the ends justifying the means. It's about choosing good. Because I mean, right now, like me and you, we ain't, other than a smile, a laugh, a hug from our sons, like we're not necessarily seeing a result in what we're doing right now. But it's there.
Yeah,
the results are there.
Yeah,
I mean, the development of their brains, their attachment, their ability. I mean, there's just thousands of ways that science is pointing in what God has designed these little creatures. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. Hey guys, Carl right here. If you want to participate in one of our episodes, please send in a question. We want this podcast to answer the questions you're asking. In the description, click that link and say, hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.